a 6-pound bronze field cannon. 6 pounds not because it weighs 6 pounds, this cannon actually weighs about 1,000, but because it fires a solid iron 6-pound cannonball. Called a bronze cannon because that is what the barrel is made out of. It's lighter and stronger than iron. We know it's a field cannon because of the type of carriage it sits on. With these two large spoked wheels and a long wooden trainer chassis, it makes this cannon very easy to maneuver about in an open battlefield. And that's where we want to see this cannon. We would not want to see it in a place like this. That's because that ease of maneuverability gives it a 6 to 10 foot recoil and in any given direction. If we were lucky, it would go straight back, it could go to its left, to its right. It's even known to flip over on itself, killing our gun crews entirely. Imagine that unpredictability is not a good thing in a place like this, or maybe a ship. So instead we'd see what you see behind you. Those specifically are 12-pound iron cannons on truck or naval carriages. That heavy iron barrel and the 4 small wheels on that truck carriage give it a less and a more predictable recoil. They'd also be block and tackled right to the wall to help the soldiers bring them back into position after being fired. Now, just like the musket, we have a prepackaged cartridge for the cannon. We have 2 pounds of black powder, a 6-pound cannonball, all wrapped in one cloth or linen sack. Our crew can take this whole charge, shove it right down the barrel of our cannon, pack it until it reaches the breech. We use a small pick to poke some holes in this cartridge, expose the gunpowder. We'll prime our cannon by placing a small amount of black powder in and around this vent hole here, and it's basically what we saw with the musket. We use a priming powder on the outside of the barrel to help us ignite this larger charge within. This is just on a much larger scale. With a full 2-pound powder charge, this cannon has a range of 12 to 1,400 yards. You can see through this gun port and see that tan hotel across Route 9. It's a Holiday Inn. Is anyone staying there? We can hit that if we wanted to, so we always recommend to get the mountain view, which is a little safer. Now, if we were shooting at a fort or a ship, we would use that 6-pound iron cannonball. It would easily make a few holes in that fort or ship. We could easily take that shot and turn it into hot shot, where we let it rest in a fire or stove until it gets red hot. We very quickly and carefully fire it at that wooden fort or ship, and hopefully they would catch on fire. But if we were shooting at a line of infantrymen 1 to 200 yards away, we would want to switch to something else. We could use grape shot, which are oversized iron balls in a cloth sack. We could use a hatful of musket balls. We could use iron parts we'd lying around, nails, glass, silverware, rocks, anything we wanted to. This is a smoothbore, just like the musket. Anything we put down it is going to fly out at 900 feet per second. It's a little over 600 miles per hour. That's faster than an airplane. At 100 yards, whatever we put down this cannon has spread into a 60-foot cone. Essentially, this is the world's deadliest shotgun. With that being said, can I ask you to stand behind the white line as we load and fire the piece?
You're gonna fire
The block of wood. We put it underneath the cannon. Now, cannon of this size would ordinarily have a 6-man gun crew, each man with his own tool and job to help speed up that loading process. Today, in true British military fashion, we have 1 capable corporal to do the job of 6. So the first man will handle the worm and search the piece. The worm is a double corkscrew on the end of a staff. We send it down the barrel, searching for any debris that might be left from our last shot. Next, we'll handle the ramrod and spring the rammer. That clear bell tone tells us that this breech is clear and it's safe to load our cannon. Hand you a charge and charge the piece. As he's charging this piece, I'm doing what's called tending the vent. I place my thumb hole over this vent hole to help prevent any oxygen from reaching sparks we may have missed. You can imagine sparks hitting all of that gunpowder we just put down there could be very detrimental to the health of our gun crew. Next, we'll handle a gunner's pick or gunner's needle. It's made of brass, bronze, or copper to avoid sparking in those iron guns. Sit it down the vent hole and expose some of those powder in that cartridge. Now, ordinarily, we'd have a man here with a very large powder horn that would prime our cannon, but we have found it's not the safest idea to walk around with a large case of explosives at your hip all day, so instead we're going to use a few more of those musket charges. In the meantime, our gunner has prepared a lint stock. That is a Dutch word for matchstick. stick, and at the end of it we have about a yard's worth of slow match. Slow match is hemp rope soaked in saltpeter and water and allowed to dry. This means it smolders rather than burns about a rate of 1 inch per hour. That allows our gunner to light up all of our cannons in a nice long hot fight without having to worry about reigniting anything. Today we're using a few inches of cannon fuse as we found the unpredictable winds and weather here in Lake George. It's just safer for everyone involved. Now there are 3 commands again to fire this piece. The first is take care. That lets our neighboring gun crews know that this piece is picked, primed, and ready to be fired. The second is make ready. It's a good time to cover your ears if you want to. If we did it right, this cannon should be pretty loud. The third will be to give fire. So, take care. Make ready. Give fire. Alright, so I have a bit of a confession to make. I lied to you a little bit. This cannon normally takes a 2-pound powder charge. That was only 2 ounces.
What's it gonna land on?
That's a tiny fraction of the smoke and noise we actually would have experienced. Our cannon would have recoiled back behind that white line. Our gun crews wheel it back into position. We will again handle the worm and search the piece. Next we will handle a sponge. With a ramrod wrapped in sheepskin, we dip it in water and vinegar and send it down the barrel. The water will help to cool our barrel while the vinegar helps clean out all that gunky black powder. Next we will handle the ramrod and spring the rammer. And this cannon is clear, you can secure the piece. Just like a musket, a trained gun crew can fire a cannon 3 times a minute, including that significant recoil. However, we really can't keep that rate of fire up for long. A cannon like this can only be fired about 8 or 10 times before we have to let them stop and cool and rest. The barrels get too hot, our charges can go off prematurely. Again, unpredictability is a very bad thing when handling all of this gunpowder. However, at the time of the siege, we only had 17 old iron cannons to defend this fort. They were not in the best condition. In fact, Lieutenant Colonel Monroe had often suspected they had spent some time underwater. But Britain told us, do the best with what you got. When the French came and began sieging this fort and concentrated their fire on that northwest bastion, they were doing so with 42 cannons and mortars. With only our 17 cannon, we didn't have time to let our cannon cool and rest. So instead, we took water from our well, we brought it up and poured it in and around those hot iron guns. You know what happens to old hot iron at 400 degrees and it means freezing cold water? It cracks. Our cannons cracked, they warped, we packed them full of gunpowder, tried to set them off again, and they exploded. We actually lost 11 out of the 17 cannon here at the fort due to those explosions. And at one point, they were killing more of our own men than the French were firing at us. So when this is one of our smaller cannons, it's only a 6-pounder. We talked briefly about the 12-pounders behind you. That cannon on the field carriage in the parade ground, that is an 18-pound French cannon. We found it actually at the bottom of Lake George. And at the time of the siege, we had 2 32-pound cannon with us. It's a 32-pound iron ball backed by about 11 pounds of gunpowder. It has a range of well over 3 miles. Now that's quite a loud shot, as you can imagine when it does go off. And that was actually our call of distress to Fort Edward, 16 miles away. They can hear those cannons going off loud and clear. However, General Webb still did not send any reinforcements, and that was one of the reasons we had to surrender this fort. So are there any questions on anything we've talked about today? His military career was pretty much ruined. It was considered so impolite not to reinforce a British officer when he was in the Navy, but I think he made the right choice personally. He really only had about 1,000 men he could send here, and the French had 8,000. So if it was still even 3,000 against 8,000, we still would have had to surrender. He saved a lot more